At first, this looks like a painting about love. A beautiful woman. A kiss. Roses. Soft skin. A little boy scattering flowers. The kind of mythological scene you expect to find in a Renaissance gallery. But then you start looking closer. There is a man on the left side of the painting who looks like he's losing his mind. We see a smiling girl on the right offering something sweet, but underneath her dress she has the body of a serpent. Then there is a laughing child stepping on a thorn, and he doesn't even seem to feel it. There are masks on the floor, and at the top, there is a head with no back, no real face, and almost nothing inside it. So the question is, what exactly are we looking at? Because this painting is not just strange. It may be one of the most beautiful warnings ever painted. This is Painted, and today we will decode An Allegory with Venus and Cupid by Bronzino. The reason this painting works so well is because it tricks you in the same way it is warning you about being tricked. It pulls you in with beauty, and then slowly reveals that almost everything beautiful in the painting is dangerous. Bronzino was working in Florence at the court of Cosimo I de' Medici. This was a world of money, power, poetry, politics, mythology, private jokes, and very clever people making very clever things for other clever people to decode. That part matters, because this painting was probably not designed for the public. It was not supposed to be easy. It was most likely made for an elite, courtly audience, possibly even as a diplomatic gift for King Francis I of France. So Bronzino wasn't just painting something pretty, he was painting a puzzle. And the pleasure of the painting was not only looking at it, it was working it out. At the center are Venus and Cupid. Venus is the goddess of love. Cupid is her son, the god of desire. And already the painting is uncomfortable, because this is not a gentle, maternal scene. It is intimate, artificial, and strangely cold. Venus is kissing Cupid, but while she kisses him, she is also stealing one of his arrows. That detail is important. Cupid's arrow is the thing that makes people fall in love. In myth, if he shoots you, you lose control. You desire someone whether it is wise or not. So Venus taking the arrow could mean that beauty is taking control of desire. Or it could mean something darker, that love, pleasure, and deception are all working together. Bronzino probably borrowed this idea from his teacher Pontormo, who had painted Venus and Cupid based on a design by Michelangelo. And that gives us an important clue about the kind of art Bronzino was making. Michelangelo's bodies often feel heroic, muscular, full of divine energy. Pontormo's figures feel stretched, unstable, almost dreamlike. Bronzino takes that language and makes it colder, sharper, more polished. The bodies here look almost like marble. The skin is too smooth. The colors are too clean. The space is too crowded. There is almost no air in the painting. That was Bronzino's genius. In his portraits, people often look perfect and untouchable, like expensive objects. In this painting, he does the same thing to love. He makes desire look flawless, and then he shows you what is rotting underneath it. Look at Venus's hand. She is holding a golden apple. That apple comes from the Judgment of Paris, one of the most consequential beauty contests in mythology. Paris had to choose the most beautiful goddess. He chose Venus, and in return, Venus promised him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Troy. That choice helped cause the Trojan War. So this apple is not just a symbol of beauty, it is beauty as catastrophe. It says, the thing you desire most may be the thing that destroys everything around you. Now look at the smiling child in front. He is usually identified as Folly, or foolish pleasure. He is running forward, throwing roses over Venus and Cupid, almost celebrating the scene. At first he looks harmless. He is the happy little spirit of pleasure. But then you look at his foot. He has stepped on a thorn, and he does not notice. That is one of the most important details in the painting. Pleasure is so excited, so distracted, so intoxicated by the moment that it cannot even feel pain. Bronzino is giving us the whole message in one small foot. The rose is beautiful. The thorn is real. And pleasure often does not understand the cost until much later. Then, behind him, we get one of the most disturbing figures in the painting. A young girl, smiling sweetly, offering a honeycomb. Honey is sweetness, temptation, pleasure, a gift. But then, Bronzino lets us see what she is trying to hide. Underneath her beautiful face and delicate hands, she has a serpent's body. And at the end of her tail there is a sting. She is usually identified as fraud or deceit, and she may be the clearest explanation of the whole painting, because deception does not arrive looking ugly. It arrives smiling, it offers something sweet, it looks harmless, it tells you there is no danger, and only later do you feel the sting. So we have beauty, desire, sweetness, pleasure. And then, on the other side of the painting, we have the consequence. This man has been interpreted in different ways. Traditionally, he is jealousy, or suffering, one of the torments that follows uncontrolled desire. And that reading makes sense. He is twisted, desperate, pulling at himself, almost trapped inside his own body. But there is another interpretation. And this is where the painting becomes much darker. Some medical historians have suggested that this figure may not simply represent emotional suffering. He may represent disease. In the late 1400s and early 1500s, Europe was terrified by syphilis. It spread quickly, it carried enormous stigma, and in Italy, it was often called the French disease, because people believed French troops had brought it into Italy. Now, look again at the man. Some scholars have pointed to the hair loss, the missing teeth, the distorted expression, the skin, the swollen-looking fingers. They argue that Bronzino may have painted not just jealousy, but the physical ruin that could follow sexual pleasure. And suddenly the painting changes. The kiss in the center is not just a kiss. The arrow is not just desire. The thorn is not just pain. The honey is not just temptation. The screaming man becomes the future that everyone else is pretending not to see. Now, we have to be careful here. The syphilis theory is powerful, but it is not proven beyond doubt. And there is a very good reason to be cautious. If this painting really was intended as a gift for the French king, then hiding a reference to the French disease inside it would have been unbelievably bold, maybe even insulting. So maybe Bronzino was not making a literal medical warning. Maybe the disease-like figure is part of a broader moral warning about lust, jealousy, deception, and pain. But that uncertainty actually makes the painting more interesting. Because Bronzino was not the kind of artist who gave you one simple answer. He painted in layers. Which brings us to the masks. At Venus's feet, Bronzino places two masks on the floor. They look like theater masks, the kind used to play a role. And once you notice them, the whole painting starts to feel like a performance. Venus is playing beauty. Cupid is playing innocence. The girl with honey is playing sweetness. Pleasure is playing joy. Even the painting itself is playing a role. It pretends to be an erotic mythological scene, while underneath it is a warning about deception. The masks tell us nothing here should be trusted at face value. Then at the top, Bronzino gives us Father Time. You can identify him by the hourglass. He is winged, muscular, old, and tense. He reaches across the top of the painting, grabbing the blue cloth. And this is one of the great unresolved moments in the image. Is Time trying to reveal the scene or hide it? Beside him is another figure, often called Oblivion. This head is strange because it seems to have no back, no memory, almost no real interior. So one way to read the top of the painting is that time and oblivion are fighting over the truth. Oblivion wants to cover it, to forget, to pretend nothing happened. But time pulls the curtain back, and that may be the final judgment of the painting. You can hide deception for a while. You can cover it with beauty, roses, honey, flesh, and silk. But time reveals what pleasure tries to conceal. So now, if we step back, the painting has become almost like a machine. Venus and Cupid create desire. Folly celebrates it. Fraud sweetens it. Jealousy or disease suffers from it. Oblivion tries to hide it, and time exposes it. Everything is connected, and that is why this painting feels so claustrophobic. There is no background, no landscape, no escape. The figures are pressed together like a stage full of actors who cannot leave. So an allegory with Venus and Cupid may have been designed as a kind of elite visual trap. You are meant to enjoy it, then you are meant to feel guilty for enjoying it. And later viewers definitely felt that discomfort. By the 19th century, the painting was considered so improper that parts of it were covered up. A veil was added over Venus to make her more modest. Later restoration removed it and revealed the painting again. Which is perfect, really. Because even centuries later, people were still doing exactly what the painting shows, trying to cover up what made them uncomfortable. So what does it mean? I don't think the painting is simply saying love is bad. That would be too easy. Bronzino is doing something more subtle. He is saying that beauty is powerful because it makes us stop thinking. It makes us ignore the thorn in the foot. It makes us accept honey from something with a serpent's tail. It makes us look at Venus and Cupid in the center while missing the screaming man at the edge. And that is the real trick of the painting. It is not just a painting about deception. It deceives you. So the next time you see this painting, don't just look at Venus. Look at the man screaming in the corner, because he may be the only one in the painting who truly understands what is happening. And that might be Bronzino's warning. By the time pleasure becomes pain, it is already too late.